Hi, Katura Main here. Going to be reading to our usual reading buddy. Feeling a little left out. And the we're just talking about a book I found that's in Ojibwe. So I'm going to read another time. But the Ojibwe word for rabbit is waboose. So I'm going to be reading to the waboose today. The book I'm going to be reading is Oscar and the Bat, and it is a book about sound. Are you ready, waboose? One summer evening in the meadow, Oscar heard a new sound. He looked around to see who was making it. Bat swooped by. "It's the baby blackbirds," he said. "Their nest is over there in the bush." "Oh," said Oscar, "I can hear them, even though I can't see them." "Yes," said Bat, "our ears help us know what's around us, even when our eyes can't." Then Oscar heard another sound. This time he could see who was making it. The blackbirds singing to warn other blackbirds to stay away from his nest, Bat said. "I have seen red-winged blackbirds back here in northern Minnesota. I haven't heard any of them make their noise, but I'm waiting. They're going to say, scree, scree, tweet, scree, scree, tweet. That's probably terrible, but I made a try anyway. Oh, listen for the blackbirds." Oscar thought it was the most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. "I wish I could sing like a blackbird," he said. Shriek, shriek, shriek. "Kittens can make other sounds," Bat said. "So can bats." What sound does a cat make? Meow. "We make sounds in our throats," Cat went on. "But some animals talk with different parts of their bodies. Many male grasshoppers talk to female grasshoppers by rubbing their wings together. Chirrup, chirp, chirrup, chirp. Some cockroaches hiss to one another through holes along their sides." I just read to the hissing cockroaches the other day. We have hissing cockroaches right here at the Science Center. And guess what kind of a sound they make? Sss, sss, sss. Bottlenose dolphins send messages to one another underwater through their blowholes. Squeak, whistle, click. When they nest, male hummingbirds make a loud sound with their wings to warn away other birds. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The tips of rattlesnakes' tails have hard, connecting ridges. If other animals come too close, the snakes lift and shake their tails. Rattle, 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 rattle. All are sounds. Are all sounds talking sounds? Oscar asked. "Lots are," Bat said, "but almost everything makes a sound when it moves." Close your eyes and listen. What can you hear? Let's do that right now. The owls were hooting. I can hear the bubbling of the fish tanks. And I can hear the ringing in my ears. What can you hear moving in the meadow? Grass makes no sound when it's still, but it swishes when the wind moves it. Do trees do that too? Yes. Machines are still and silent until they are switched on. Then their engines move and they make noise. Still water in a pond is silent, but moving water makes sounds. Oscar could hear another sound. It was in the sky. "What's that rumbling?" he asked. "Thunder," said Bat. "There's a storm coming." Even though it's far away, we can still hear the thunder because it's such a big sound. Oscar opened his eyes. It's getting louder, he said. The thunder's coming this way, Bat said. The closer it is to us, the louder it sounds. Rumble crash! And when a big noise is very near, it sounds very loud indeed, Bat shouted as Oscar leaped away. Safe under the leaves, Oscar listened to raindrops falling. The rain is very near too, he said, but it isn't scary. The sound of rain hitting something, patter, patter, maybe leaves or an umbrella. The rain is making a gentle sound, Bat said, not a harsh sound like thunder. When the rain stopped, Oscar put out his head to listen. Is the thunder going away now? He asked. Yes, said Bat. The farther it is away from us, the quieter it sounds to us. Then it was gone. I can't hear anything, Oscar whispered. No, whispered the Bat. This is silence. Or it would be if we weren't whispering. But just then, moo! No, I'm from Iowa. I can do a better moo than that. What's that? Yeah. The cow sounds a bit like the thunder, said Oscar. Yes, said the Bat. Cows make a deep sound. It's low and rumbly. It isn't high and squeaky, like the sounds the baby birds make. Trip-a-trip-a-tweet, tweet. Trip-a-trip-a-tree. Now the blackbird is starting to sing again. That's still my favorite sound, said Oscar. It keeps changing, and it's never too loud and scary or too high and squeaky. It's just right, like music. And he started to purr. Have you heard a kitty purr? And that's my favorite sound, said Oscar's mother. She likes to hear her kitty purr. Who had come to fetch him? But Oscar and Bat were listening too hard, and they didn't notice. And then there's a page about making sound and listening to sounds. I have another book, and this is about sound, and it's about the sound of silence. This book talked a little bit about silence. This one's going to talk a little bit more about that. The sound of silence. The sounds of the city swirled all around him. Tokayo was a symphony hall. So there's sounds here. Beep, brum, brum, krill, honk, honk. A city is like a symphony hall of sound. Yoshio listened to the sound of his boots squishing and squashing through the puddles, and the tiny raindrops pattering on his umbrella. And the sound of his giddy giggles made him giggle more. Suddenly, Yoshio heard the strangest sound, high, then low, squeaky, and vibrating. Amazing! It was a koto player, carefully tuning her instrument. Then the koto player played. The notes were twangy and twinkling. They tickled Yaishio's ears. When the sound finished, Yaishio said, "Sensei, I love sounds, but I've never heard a sound like that." The koto player laughed, and it sounded like the metal bell that swayed in the wind in Mama's garden. "Sensei," Yoshio said, "do you have a favorite sound?" "The most beautiful sound," the koto player said, "is the sound of Ma, of silence." "Silence?" Yoshio asked. But the koto player just smiled a mysterious smile and went back to playing. Yoshio bowed to the koto player and ran to school. Where can I find silence? Yoshio wondered as he listened to the thwack of his boots on the pavement. He listened for it through the school day, but there was always some kid making noise. At recess, the sun came out and Yoshio went to the quietest place he knew, the bamboo grove at the edge of the playground. But even there, the bamboo made a teka-teka-teka sound as the wind banged its stalks together. He closed his eyes and heard the swish, swish of the wind, making the leaves talk. It was beautiful, but it wasn't silence. Walking home from school, Yoshio listened hard. He could hear the horns of buses and the swoosh of bullet trains and the beep, beep, beep of the traffic lights, but no silence. Yoshio knew so many different sounds, loud and soft, sudden and soothing, but silence? Where was silence? It wasn't in the dining room, where there was always the sound of chopsticks and slurping and chewing and swallowing. What a noisy family! Silence wasn't in the bath, where even his toes made little droplets of water kept dripping off his nose. Drip, drip, drip. That night, Yoshio tried to stay up late to catch the silence while his family slept. But his eyes got heavy and then heavier, and soon the sound of a distant radio played into part of his dreams. The next morning, Yoshio woke up to his neighbor's dog barking and barking, and oh no, he had missed the silence. Yoshio walked to school early. His sisters whizzed by on their way to the park, screeching Yoshio's name. Where was the silence? Yoshio heard the creak of the school gates as he pulled them open. No one was at the school yet. He put on his inside shoes and listened as they shuffled on the shiny floor. The classroom felt different without anyone in it. He sat at his desk by the window and pulled out a book. He loved this story, and as he read, he forgot where he was. Did you forget where you were? Suddenly, in the middle of a page, he heard it. No sounds of footsteps, no people chattering, no radios, no bamboo, no koto being tuned. In that short moment, Yoshio couldn't even hear the sound of his own breath. Everything felt still inside him, peaceful, like the garden after it snowed. Oh, don't you love it how it sounds after the snow has fallen? I love that. Like feather-stuffed futons drying in the sun. Silence had been there all along. It had been there between the thumps of his boots when he ran, when the wind stopped for just a moment in the bamboo grove, at the end of his family's meal, when everyone was happy and full, after the water finished draining from his bath, before the koto player's music began, and hovering in the air right after it ended. It was between and underneath every sound, and it had been there all along. Silence. There is a lot of musicians that actually focus on the silence in between their notes. This is a picture of a guy who does that. He is very focused on the silence between the notes. It is in the heart of Japanese music, dance, tea ceremony, flower arrangements, and even conversation. I think I could learn from this book and allow a little bit more silence in my life. Are you ready for that? Thank you for joining us at the Headwater Science Center. Please come and visit us at the Headwater Science Center, where there's not a lot of silence, so we're going to look for it. We're going to look for it between and underneath while we're here. And you can help me. You can help remind me to listen for the silence. So Fridays from 9:30 to 5:30, Saturdays from 9:30 to 5:30, Sunday from 1 until 5:30, and Monday from 9:30 to 5:30. Hopefully I said that all right. All right.